So back in my career, I've taken a couple of professional vocational courses in order for me to be more effective as a project manager, an implementation lead, a change manager, etc., etc. And one of those things that I took on board was a program called Managing Successful Programs, or MSP for short. And within this project management style course, they spoke about a gap analysis. Now, this wasn't a new concept to me. I knew about gap analyses before, and essentially a gap analysis was an opportunity to understand how one can make improvements when it came to the program moving forward. So essentially what would happen is you would look at the current state, or the, what has happened beforehand. Okay, so you can understand what the status quo is. Then you would also look at the future state, or the desirable state, or what sort of things you are needed in order to achieve specific things. And then look at the middle, look at the gap, what is missing. Okay, that can clearly tell you or give you the impetus to develop a plan of action. So this level of review and reflection is important because, again, it's not made up. Okay, you can talk to stakeholders who are involved in the status quo. You can talk to the sort of like leads or the experts who can help you get to that future state. You can even talk to the initial individuals who are the service users to understand to get to this space. Why am I saying all of this stuff for you though? Where does this come into play? Well, if you think about any form of personal development, sort of like improvement system or improvement methodology, it pretty much uses this gap analysis methodology. Okay, so this isn't new. You've seen it in many of these great books that you probably talk about now when it comes to personal development, productivity, etc., etc. And so when it comes to reflecting and reviewing, this becomes a really important sort of like approach when it comes to improvement going forward. And so if you're, during a time of year, whether this is the end of the year, the quarter, or whatever it may be, this is what you could do. Okay, so the first thing you could do is to really understand what's happened to date. Okay, what has worked well, what hasn't worked well, etc., etc. Then it's to define precisely, okay, what does the future state look like? What are we trying to achieve here? What is the goal? And then look in the middle and understand, okay, cool. What does this mean in terms of moving forward? Now, to make it a bit more personalized, what you could do, especially if you don't necessarily know what your goals are, and I would urge and encourage you to get an idea of some level of goals that you have in your life, is to look at what has generally worked well for yourself. What's worked well? Have there been relationships that have worked well? Have there been habits that you've adopted or picked up? Are there specific achievements or results that you've had? Do you feel like you've become a different person, whatever that may mean? Okay, so think about what went well. The next thing to do is to also think about what hasn't gone so well. What hasn't worked out for you? Are there relationships that have broken down? Have you not hit certain milestones when it comes to your business? Do you feel like health-wise you're not in the body or energy state that you would like to be in? So think about what hasn't worked well. Then once you've got these two things, then you start thinking about, well, how can I improve? Now, this all assumes that you have a goal in mind. Now, whether you are conscious of a goal or not, when you do this exercise, it gets you thinking about what sort of goals do I need, because it establishes your preferences based on the emotional states that you've picked up when you try to do these things. Because if something went well, that elicited an emotion and feeling because it's aligned to some sort of conscious or subconscious goal. The same thing when it comes to things that you haven't necessarily achieved or haven't necessarily done well, that would assume there is a goal in mind. And so what I like to do before I even get to the stage is just free write. Okay, free write my thoughts. And why do I do this? Because it gets everything out. And what am I free writing on? I'm just free writing on what I feel my experience has been for the year. I'm writing things around how I felt, key milestones, things that I did, things that I really liked, things that I didn't necessarily like. And so this just gets this out before I get to a stage of writing down what went well, what didn't really work well, and how do I improve. Now, again, if you don't necessarily know what your goals are, okay, or what your sense of purpose is, or whatever it may be, then feel free to check out this video here where it talks more about this stuff. So hopefully that gives you an idea in terms of how you review and reflect. Now, you can do this with, you know, someone that you trusted. This could be a coach, a mentor, an accountability buddy, a trusted friend, a trusted family member, whatever it may be. Or you could do this by yourself, which is perfectly fine as well. But it just starts with those simple questions. Okay, questions are the answer. And if you can get good at answering these questions, then you get a better sense of clarity. And so with that in mind, you know, you could even put this into your practice on a regular basis, okay? And it doesn't have to be on a macro level. It could just be for the day. What went well today? What didn't go well today? How can I improve? If daily's not like, it's too much for you, make it weekly. If weekly is too much for you, make it monthly, but put it into your practice, because this is how you get to a point of improvement. By taking a stock take of what's happening, what could be improved, and then developing a plan moving forward in terms of what you need to do in terms of your actions. So this is a very simple video, but hopefully an effective one for you. If you want to keep that effectiveness going, then make sure to check out the webinar below in the description below in order for you to understand how you can be a high performance individual so that you can have an even better year. If you like videos like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And as always, my friends, understand, reach, and expand. Peace.